Welcome in, guys, to another episode of the Young Entrepreneurs Network podcast. This episode I've been absolutely buzzing for, mainly because I've been getting to know this individual for a good, couple of months?
Yeah.
Been a good couple of months, had a couple of dinners, one of which ran on far too late to the point that the restaurant was closing. But in terms of the discussion that's going to be here today, troops, this individual is an integrator of many names. He is integrated into multiple different businesses, has equity in multiple different businesses, and he's scaled them all to incredible levels, which we'll be kind of diving into how he's actually made that happen today. And he's got his kind of main baby, which is a SEO agency that he's scaled to an incredible level as well. So it's going to be Grieve. I feel like that's a good enough intro. Is there anything else to add to that as well?
Yeah, looking forward to finally recording one of our conversations.
Definitely, mate. I think I need to just start like having the phone maybe to the side, like recording the audio, maybe like when we're in these restaurants, mate. Could make for some good snippets. But yeah, in terms of anyone that maybe doesn't know you, mate, and anything that I've missed, anything else that needs to be dropped in there?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. Main business is an SEO business, but more recently, I mean, I've got my team in place in that business. It's running pretty smoothly, mostly without me at the moment. So my main focus over the last a year and a half has been leveraging those skills to set up other businesses, and that's a lot more of my focus these days. Granted, I sometimes get pulled back into the agency, but yeah, that's a good enough introduction.
Yeah, definitely, bro. Well, one of the things I found really interesting was when we initially met, we spoke about how almost like you were an older, more experienced version of Andy, who I know a lot of people will know Andy as I run Young and Lazy with. Now, the main difference that I noticed between yourself and Andy was that Andy builds systems for the business to operate better with us involved.
Yeah.
You build systems and SOPs for the business to operate without you completely. And that was like the main difference that I noticed, and I found it really interesting because a lot of young entrepreneurs can get shiny object syndrome, women in red dress, want to do multiple different businesses, but they end up doing them all at one time and none of them can operate without them, so which makes them the bottleneck. And that's the difference between yourself and maybe individuals that want to start multiple different businesses. So how did you kind of come to that realization? I'd imagine, we'll start with that question first.
So the realization around being an integrator,
integrator, and then also realizing that you can actually build multiple different businesses at the same time.
So I never really realised that I could start multiple businesses at the same time.
Yep.
Now, you've got the ones down there that have failed, that have succeeded.
Yeah.
For everyone there that's succeeded, I've maybe got 10 that have failed. When I started into sort of running my own business, etc., I did get the shiny object syndrome, but I didn't really have the time to execute on anything. Me being an SEO guy, even to today, like I'll spot an SEO strategy, like a good domain that I can acquire, where I can get how the content's going to look, how I'm going to rank and get the traffic, and I'll build that first.
Yep.
And then I'll build a business on top of it. It's a bit of a backwards way of doing it, but I love it. In terms of how I started launching successful ventures, a lot of people work towards that, building yourself out of the business. It's the North Star for a lot of business owners. For me, can I swear on this?
Obviously. Yeah.
For me, I got to that stage where I'm like 90% out of the business and I'm like, this is great. And then pretty quickly into that stage, I was like, what the fuck do I do with all my time? Like, I'm used to going 100 miles an hour, 60 hours a week, and like, people will say to you like, you need to chill out a wee bit, but I don't know, I'm of a sort of makeup where it's just not really on the cards for me. I have to be doing something. I have to be building something. So my first real one was the travel business. Now, I'd set that up more of a hobby to test some of the SEO stuff that I wanted to test but couldn't really test on client websites. Got that up to a decent level traffic wise, then started to monetize it. And And these other businesses are sort of they're built hands off as well. So for me, it wasn't really learning that I could do that. It was just kind of being bored and starting something as daft as that sounds and having the time to actually execute and make it work.
Yeah. And how, like, because one of the things I'm always curious about, like when we've got YNL to a stage now where I'm phased very much out of the delivery, I'm only really involved in the main kind of focus group on the Tuesday morning, which is an hour and a half, and the Wednesday, like a mortals group, which is the high earners group, which is 2 hours on a Wednesday, and it's not every Wednesday either. Besides that, like I'm fully phased out. I'm pretty much just helping team wise, and one of the things that I know a lot of people will be guilty of as well is that when you get in the habit of working all the time, you think that when you're not working on the business or in the business that you're potentially getting complacent, or that you're potentially going to miss something, or you start to get a bit anxious around it.
Yeah.
Have you dealt with that, and if so, how have you overcame it?
The big one for me, so I've got a woman in my business that manages all the clients. One of she's my second hire, and so kind of been with me since day one. Trust her completely, but see when we started phasing her into managing clients, like I was like, oh shit. Every client that she touched, and massive disrespect to her saying this, but like every client we touch, they're going to leave. But very quickly into that process. So I'd done that before for like the technical side, and that was a very, very easy one for me to do. I'm not technical. I'm not sort of development, coding and stuff like that. I do have a relatively technical brain, but I can't code or anything. Yeah. So getting that side over to someone who, guy Laza that runs that side in A1 SEO, like 26, 27 years experience. He's been doing this stuff since I was like, before I was in primary school. Like it's crazy when you think about it that way. That was an easy one for me to just say, look, you are more qualified to do this role than me. I'm happy with that. But handing over relationships and stuff like that, that's fucking terrifying. But there's a few teething problems, obviously, but very sort of early on into that process, I realised like someone dedicating 100% of their time to making sure our clients are happy, they're going to do a much better job of that than me dedicating 10, 15, 20% of my time, 10% of my bandwidth to that one sort of core element of what makes our business operate. And that gave me a lot of confidence moving forward. Those two good experiences, I had a few bad experiences with it, but those two good experiences, I was like, right, let's almost internally scale up this process of removing me out of the business. And I'd operated that way for 2-3 years. 1 year after that, I was completely removed from that business.
Which is interesting that you say that, because like when I refer to the whole like complacency piece or feeling like you're maybe not doing enough, it's like, say it was just you, right? And it's like, say the team we've got now, Jack is on the front end of sales all day, every day. Marketing wise, we're pretty much just paying obviously ads and also marketing personal brand wise. Those are two funnels that generate all the lead flow that we need and all the applications that we need. So that aspect's sorted unless I just look over it. But sales wise, Jack, delivery wise, Andy, also my mum, now Reese as well, helping with that aspect, and then Andy from a systems aspect. It's like, if I'm a one-man band and I'm doing all of those things, I'm going to feel incredibly fucking busy. I'm going to feel so overworked. I'm going to feel like I'm doing so much. But then you bring in team members, I start to phase out, and I start to think, oh my God, am I getting complacent? Am I not doing enough? When in fact, I've got 4 or 5 team members that are all doing 100% output, like you're saying, 500% in total. Whereas my 100%, because it was all me, I felt like I was doing a lot and I wasn't being complacent. But then you phase the team members in and it's like 500% output.
But I think trying to do it all yourself is more complacent than handing it over to other people. You've got to, if you're wanting to scale something up, and not everyone, I know a lot of people that run very successful one-man bands. They've got it to a certain level. Good life, sort of work-life balance. They don't want to scale that, but I don't know any business that's scaled where the owner hasn't gone in and sort of divvied up the responsibilities to other people who can focus on that. And at the end of the day, my account managers manage the clients better than I ever could. My technical team manages the technical side of the business better than I ever could. The only thing I still like doing really is sales. I have had that over with other people, but and it worked really well. But I like talking to people, and I still get that buzz, like hearing about people's businesses, working out how we can fix their problems, etc. And
how did you start to? So what was the first? Actually, better question. What was the first business that you started to scale up and phase out from? Was it A1 SEO or was it
A1?
A1.
Yeah.
And what was the kind of like? Can you throw it back all the way to the first couple of hires? Obviously, you mentioned one of them already, but what that process was like.
So a lot of our first hires weren't necessarily getting me out of the business.
Yeah.
They were just allowing us to offer a better service. Then, I don't know, maybe about the 15k monthly mark, there was just too many clients and too much stuff for me to oversee. So I had I'd had a VA and started helping me with data entry. I then brought in a technical manager to sort of cover all my weaknesses or my major weaknesses, especially running a sort of digital business and you can't code. Then I'm dyslexic and can't write. Well, I can write, but not very well. Like, can't spell, can't do content for clients. And in SEO, you've got your sort of link building, your PR side of it, the technical side, making sure Google can access everything. And then you've got the content side, and a big kind of, what would you call it, like stubborn arrogance that I had was like, I can't do content, therefore content is not valuable in SEO. That's like 4 years ago. Thinking about that now, that's fucking nuts. It's like 60% of what we do as a business and the results we get are off the back of content. So I hired content writer, eventually morphed into a content manager as we grew. That took us up to maybe 50, 60 monthly. At that stage, that's when there was just too many clients for me to manage. I was literally stuck in meetings from 9 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock at night, no breaks, no lunch. Emails would get done sort of 5:30 to 10 o'clock at night. I remember I used to like wake up 5 in the morning and like just sit and do my emails in the bed. So at that point, I got an account manager in. Then at this sort of 80, 90k month mark, this is always the one that really kind of fascinates me. At that stage, I'd built this sort of 7-figure business. That's what I'd set out to do. Inquiries were coming in, but I was kind of like, this business is complete. Like, it's got the revenue that I want. Now, I'm not a very money-driven person. I get my kicks from like building things and seeing things through and putting an input here, getting an output there. That's what I love about business. To me, in my mind, and it was not the right thing to think, but at that time I was like, this business is fine. Inquiries were coming in, and sounds nuts saying this in a business podcast, but I just couldn't be asked, like, oh, you want SEO? Like, cool, here's a referral. Like, I didn't really want to sell to people anymore. At that stage, I hired a salesman who their full-time job was caring about sort of inbound inquiries, etc. And we built the process and that side of the business around him. Fantastic guy, Stefan. He immigrated to America, and I then stepped back in to what was then a really well-built system that just converted leads really well. And I don't know what's really changed, but I now quite enjoy the sales side of it. I like growing the business. I've got all my managers are in a revenue share deal as well, so it's not really me that I'm selling for either. It's like if I go through that, I can't be arsed selling. Like my management team will fucking hound me. Like I'll get pulled into meetings and stuff, and why are you not closing deals? So yeah, that's kind of a wee bit of a journey of how I started the whole offloading responsibilities to people that were more capable than myself and removing me from that business.
Yeah. You referred earlier on that you had some bad experiences with hiring as well. What are some of those bad experiences?
I'm still good pals with some of the people, so I can't really
That's
comment.
Fair. That's fair, so we can brush over that.
They fucking know who they are as well.
We had Mark Glasgow on, and he was speaking about some of the experiences that he'd had with like just people that he'd hired going out to jobs and stuff like that. If you haven't checked out that episode, Trips, be sure to check it out. It was funny. Some of the part that was happening. But yeah, I thought I'd throw it in there in case there was any funny experiences to refer to.
So we've got like I'm a big believer in, like, if you're building a digital business, don't limit yourself to the local area. There's some really good digital businesses in Glasgow, west of Scotland, but by and large, I think we're a wee bit limited to the talent pool that's there. I'm very big on going to places like South Africa, Eastern Europe, getting the best people for the job. Now, that's all remote. It's fine. It's a digital agency. But we've had some, like, absolute belters going through that. Like, we're very well set up. The kind of trade-off in culture with A1 SEO is like, look, we don't take ourselves too seriously. It's a remote job. Like, we get that you're going to be taking your dog for a 2-hour walk, and we get that you're maybe making up time in the evening, you're maybe doing some freelancing. That's fine, as long as the fucking work's getting done. But you do get people when you're sort of building a remote team that just take the piss. Like, we've got timesheets, and we've got a full project management suite. We've got project managers that are keeping on top of deadlines and stuff. But we've had people that have just came in and, like, not worked. And we're like, where's your timesheet? And they're like, oh, sorry, my computer died. And it's like, it's always their computer dies when you ask them for, like, the timesheet and stuff. But yeah, some of the more horrible ones I can't really talk about.
How did you get into that kind of, like, space of, like, hiring, like, out in the kind of, like, South Africa, for example?
So my first hire wasn't a good experience. It was more on me. Your first hire, you're more exposed to get it wrong than when you've got a wee bit more experience of building a team. And I had one of those kind of blowout moments that I think a lot of business owners have, where they're like, oh, fuck this, it isn't working. I'm very, very lucky, and every step of the way, like, even before I started my business, I had fantastic, like, mentors around me. Like, there's a thing I love about SEO. Top guys in the industry, they'll sit down and talk to you and tell you what's working for them, even if you're just starting out. And I like to help a lot of these guys that are starting out myself in the SEO space. But who was it? It was Craig Campbell. Sat me down when I was having one of my Call Them episodes, and he was like, I was just so exposed in that first hire. I need to stop hitting that mic. And he was like, why are you hiring, like, people on this salary with sort of this attitude and this work ethic? Like, my thing was, I'll never find anyone that's going to replace that role in Glasgow. I was like, well, don't look in Glasgow. So I went over to Serbia for that role. Got Laza, he's a guy, 26 years experience, and he's just been great. He's taken, like, 60% of my problems away. He's made them disappear. And yeah, from there, just got more and more confident. I mean, I'm at a stage with the team where it's not me that's doing the hiring, so you've got someone in the ground in Cape Town or Serbia that's doing the job ad, they're doing the interviews, and they're finding the best people in that field. And we're talking, like, the budget we had for a hire would get us someone just out of university over here. Like, we're putting people and paying them in the 95th percentile of what they would get in Cape Town, for example. And we're getting guys with like 10, 15 years experience, and putting them on an account where the client's still paying the same as Joe down the road who's got some intern on his account. Like, all due respect. It's just a completely different way of doing it.
How did you go about finding Laza as like the first hire?
Very cut and clean. Went to a website called JobRack. Spoke to the guy there, Noel, got a job ad put together, and placed him within 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, pretty simple to be fair. Because I was curious compared to now. Obviously, you said you've got people like finding the best of the best, for example. Now, so it's very different. But back then, for example, someone that maybe wants to do that now, have you got any like specific advice that you would give them?
When you're going outside the UK, UK jobs are viewed as sort of being very secure, etc. They're very, very, very favourable. So, like, be prepared. You might get like 10, 15 applicants over here. Be prepared to get like 2,000 within 2 weeks. You have to almost build, I'm saying almost, you have to exactly that, build a hiring process into your business. Always do a competency task. Make sure you've got something repeatable there that you can just send out. I like to use Willow. So it's a video, basically 5-6 questions. They submit a video application, and it lets you just rattle through them all and not have to. I mean, if you tried to organise 2,000 interviews in 1 month, like, even if you short that down to like, say 10% qualified rate, 200 interviews in a month, like, you're not doing that.
I can hear that for sure. So in terms of, besides the competency test, what else comes into play for like a hiring process if they were to look at somewhere like that?
That's really it. Just Willow, make sure they've got the experience, then get them onto a competency task, make sure they can actually do the job. Then at that point, after the competency task, that's when we sit down for the interview and just, I don't know, make sure they're like, I don't know, they don't go and bark at cars on their days off or something like that. Just make sure they're like a normal person. And then, but it's hard in a way because I think the talent's just so good abroad. Like, it's difficult when you've got 50 qualified applicants saying like, what one do we actually pick? Whereas over here, when I was hiring over here, it's like the first person that ticks like 60% or more of the boxes, just get them in quickly.
Mate, even like a client we had literally just last week, looking to hire an individual, and he put up a job ad like 2 weeks prior, had like close to 90 applicants, and only one of them actually passed the competency test. And it was in like, as a result, the guy then like had a higher salary expectancy compared to all the other ones. He was actually already in a really good job. He was looking for something a bit different, and he then had to bargain quite heavily to actually, or negotiate quite heavily to get him in. Whereas obviously the difference to like somewhere like South Africa, you can almost like, just from a real time example, even right now, the actual difference, which is mega interesting.
Yeah,
it's nuts. When it came to, one of the things I noted down just when you burst over it was you built a sales system or a sales process that converted really well, off the back of you phasing out from it and then phasing back in. Do you want to give some insights to that sales process?
Solid offer on the marketing end. I mean, I think that's 90% of your any sales problems is just your offer shit. My offer is very, very simple, but it converts like fuck. Yep. Everyone in it, for anyone who doesn't know SEO, everyone in their gran is sitting there saying, yeah, we'll do a free audit, and they'll put it into some shitty software and it will spit out all this garbage. It's like, here's your audit.
Yeah.
like give us money, and converts at like 1-2%. We do it a wee bit differently. We do a video audit.
Yeah.
Where we'll literally go in, spend maybe half an hour, and we'll have a look and say, right, what's actually fucked on this website? Why is it not number one? And I'm a big believer in SEO that seen 90% of the bullshit that people talk about doesn't work. The things that work in SEO, having better content than anyone out there, having more links than anyone out there, and making sure you have a site that Google can access. If you do those three things consistently, you'll win every single time. There's a few other wee things like your local SEO and stuff like that. But we literally just go in, what's holding the content back? Cool, that's how you fix it. What link building does this site need? It needs this. Here's how you can find links. From a technical front, here's what's broken in your website. Here's how you fix it. The big thing we do in that video audit is we don't go into that video audit to sell. We go into it to educate. And we don't exaggerate how long it will take. We're pretty upfront. Like, okay, you need to spend 2,500 hours optimizing content. Here is the step by fucking step process of how we optimize content at a very top level. Go do it, or we'll do it for you. Now, sometimes get people that go away and try and do it themselves. It's fine. Sometimes they actually come back and end up working with us. But the vast majority of people, when it comes to SEO, they don't understand SEO enough to know what the problem is. They just don't know. They know that they've got a problem, but they don't know what it is. In those video audits, we show them exactly what the problem is. We show them exactly what the solution is, and we offer to help them get to the solution. And going through that process, that kind of almost pre-sale process, when we get into the call to maybe discuss working together, like, they're not throwing their credit cards at us, but they're eager, they're keen, and it's such an easy sales job.
Because I think obviously nowadays as well, I think like trust is just becoming more and more. Trust was always a huge component of like any business, but I think the market's never been like more saturated in most industries, and also it's like trust and competency and actual authority to display the level of expertise that you've got is something that just sets you apart so well. Like, even if you look at, we spoke a lot about like Nick Garrity when we spoke over dinner. Nick's a perfect example of someone that's able to display competency and authority, and as a result stand above the saturation. But I
just love his videos, the way he comes across. He's like, this is what you fucking need to do. I'm like, Nick, take my money.
100%, bro. But yeah, no, it's an interesting component. See, like that kind of like value driven audit, what other industries do you think that could fit well into, out of curiosity?
I'm not sure. I only really know how to do that, and we've got it processed for other people to do it, but I was able to build that because I know exactly, right, here's how you can provide 90% of the value that this person needs in like 30 minutes. That's the main challenge, because a lot of the time you don't have a lot of time. Like if you send over we tried them, like the Loom video was over like 40 minutes. Like nobody's watching that. They just click the Loom video like, fuck this. And that's them. They're lost. I think maybe not so much the video audit, but providing some level of value up front in a sales process. Especially for services, like unless it's like an accountant or a lawyer where it's like pretty cut and clean what you need. I think that educational step's been really, really important to us. I think it would be transferable to a lot of different businesses, but I just don't know how that would look like. I think it's just about thinking, what value can you provide up front, and building an offer around that, giving the value up front, but also leveraging that yourself to put you in the position of, listen, I am the expert in this field. Here's 30 minutes. Like that, I don't come out and say I'm the expert in that field, but after watching me fucking talk about SEO for half an hour, a lot of people coming off these videos are like, okay, that's the guy, that's the team. Even Stefan, when he was doing it, like, he had no SEO experience, but he followed my process, and guys were like emailing him technical SEO questions, and he was just forwarding it over to Laza, like, help.
That's class. Well, I guess like one of the reasons I like it, and why I asked the question about the kind of open-ended, how could this spread into different industries, is because nowadays, like, majority of volume, we even see it with a lot of young entrepreneurs that come through, they're like, I've got an outbound process, I'm like, cool, run through it with me, and it's just mass volume, salesy as fuck, not like, there's no value up front, a lot of the guys. And what I really like about this process is it's a personalized, lower volume. Like, you can't pump out fucking 100 of them in a day unless you've got some sort of AI software or something.
We can maybe do, we can maybe do 24 of them a day. Not me, myself, but pulling in other team members and stuff.
Yeah. Which, like, that sort of component, like, what I like about it is that you could combine like, we look at it from our aspect, so we do something similar with Looms, which we're trialing and improving and stuff. It was something we learned off the back of starting work with PG, but having an actual balance of both volume and actually, like, personalized, and it's like actually being able to get in front of a lot of people and offer the piece of free value up front. So we have an outbound strategy, and I'm happy to share a component of it that is like, hey, thank you so much for the follow. I've got one question for you. Are you here for the content, or are you here because you want to be around the top young entrepreneurs in the UK and get training, resources, etc.? If you're just here for the content, no stress, kick your feet up, got plenty of content coming in the near future. If you're here for the latter, then I have this free resource. It's the 5-step 5-figure blueprint, helps you scale to 5 figures, gives you a lot of sauce. It's an hour long. Just drop me a thumbs up and I'll fire it over. Now, that outbound, like, that's not personalized, that's volume, and our reply rate's like 35% on that, which is pretty good, to be fair, for new followers. In regards to the latter side, like 5 Looms a week that are hyper personalized to those that are like, we know for a fact we can fucking help them because we've got a lot of info around them and their business and where they're at. Like, that's fucking immense having both of those components.
Would you ever see how you're doing your sort of unpersonalized messages?
Yeah.
Would you be able to funnel them into the video?
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just like literally, give more context. Just
so
in case I picked up wrong.
Your initial message to new followers, would you be interested to join a network with the top performing young entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so the outbound video?
If they say yes to that, is that when it triggers the outbound video?
No, I just send the video right off the rip.
Right.
So as soon as they follow, it's like, that's the first thing that lands in their inbox. And it's just like literally just me holding my phone, literally just like that, just recording it.
Yeah, nice.
It's just super soft, man. Super soft. And also, like, I'm good on camera, I'm used to camera, so I come across like I am as a person, whereas a lot of people can get quite rigid when they're on camera and stuff, whereas it's so easy for me. Even like Reese will text me and be like,
checking to see how rigid I am just now.
Reese will text me and be like, yeah, mate, I thought about this angle or this resource or this training that could be really valuable based on what prospects are saying, and I'll be like, cool, give me 5 minutes and I'll just go shoot one and we'll just trial it for a week and just get some feedback. I'm curious, see the value driven audit, obviously with SEO, what is it that you're asking for to complete that audit? Is it just their website, or is there more questions that they answer?
So what do we capture? Telephone number, website, email address. Then we say, how would you like us to contact you? Phone call, Zoom or WhatsApp. We then go into whatever, phone them, arrange a Zoom call, get them on WhatsApp. WhatsApp converts the highest for us at the moment. We then qualify them in WhatsApp. So our minimum spend is $2,200 a month. Yeah. We have to be confident that we can generate them like 25,000 in new sales a month after a 12-month period. So we're going in there, we're finding out a wee bit more about their business. But the end goal of that, I mean, the main goal of it's just to get a wee bit of sort of qualitative information out of the client as to like what they do, what their goals are, who they are, whatever comes out. But we will not progress with their video audit until we know what growth they're looking to achieve, and that's how we qualify them. If it's someone coming in saying, yeah, I want to take this up to 6 figures in the next 12 months, fucking let's do it. But the ones that are kind of coming through us and are like, yeah, just seen, like, no disrespect, but just seen the video audit, and yeah, I'd like to see my website number one in Google. I'm like, cool, I'll find you someone that will bill you £300 a month, and like that's kind of what you're looking to tick the SEO box. You're not really serious about growth, and that's the best way I've found to qualify people. Is like, how serious are you? And how much do you want this growth? They're the people we want to partner with, and I sound quite arrogant saying that, but I've just lost thousands of hours to people that at the end of the day just want to see their name in Google when they type it. They don't really, they're not thinking about the money that can be pulled out of that.
That's why I was curious from the value driven audit, because it's like, I'd imagine if you were running ads, you'd get a fucking shit ton of them with probably the authority that A1 SEO has for you to just do every audit that comes through. Yeah, no, we're not doing every audit. I remember when it was me and Stefan, like I was managing the sales side, he was operating it, and like I can't remember why, but our lead volume dropped right down for a couple of weeks, and I was like shitting myself. I was like, right, fuck, don't qualify them anymore, just send everyone the fucking video audits. And like he's sitting there just with horrendous businesses in there, like, right, and then you need to spend X amount on like building, and it wasn't a good use of time. Yeah, I can imagine, because I think that's where people probably in the earlier stages, because I see a lot of young entrepreneurs maybe like early stages making a first 5k a month, for example, and they want to maybe lead with some sort of like value driven piece of content or like free value, and they'll maybe start thinking about something more personalized, because they'll see the power of it. Like, I think you're in this day and age, there is something like seriously crying out for, like, I can see so clearly like why something like that works. I think it's like, I am a person that I see the value in AI. I like AI. It has its uses and kind of taking away a lot of the mundane parts of our lives and just automating them. But I think in tech specifically, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, like human interaction's cool, we'll just AI it. And it's like, it's maybe going to work if you get up to a decent level scale, but like, I don't know, I get this will sound so sad, but I get absolutely buzzing. See, when I go onto a website and I click the fucking live chat, and it's an actual person sitting there, like, that is a massive trust factor for me, like, in shopping online. And I think a lot of people are trying to do, I've gone down the route like instantly AI, pumping out like thousands of emails a month, and it does it, like, it works. But for high ticket sales, like, people are crying out for personalization. You're not going to take £5,000-10,000 a month off someone like with a AI chatbot. Like, it's like we spoke about as well. It's like you phase back into sales, and it's like, one, obviously because you enjoy it, and two, obviously your conversion rate is immense, and it's like that aspect of it, with even you taking sales calls, like the amount you generate in LTV with the results that you got. I don't know if you'd want to speak about that, but the amount you generate in LTV obviously makes that sales call fucking worthwhile. And it's like, see that personalized approach, like, see, rather than banging out 1,000 emails a fucking week, you bang out I don't know, 30 hyper personalized to your exact ideal prospects, and you know how to exactly qualify them. I would be so curious to see the actual like split difference in results between like something like that.
So I'll talk about instantly AI stuff. The reason I'm back in sales is I could just never replace that good sales guy. And then I started enjoying sales. But like at one point last year, I had 3 full-time salespeople. And one of them was purely the marketer that's getting mixed up between outbound and inbound. He was purely outbound, so he was like doing all the emails and stuff, hyper personalizing them. I think we worked out that we had to send 86 emails to get a conversion at like 2,200 a month. It's interesting though, the lifetime value, I'm going in mad tangents here, but the lifetime value per channel changes quite a lot, I've found. People don't really talk about that. Like I know, see the leads I get through SEO, we'll have them for 5 years. The ones we get through Facebook, if we keep a client past like 4 months, we'll keep them for 5 years. It's that 4-month period in SEO. The leads we get coming through Facebook and inbound, they're, I don't know the stats off the top of my head, but maybe 4 times more likely to drop off in the first 4 months. But yeah, sorry, tangent. Going back to the instantly stuff, like we would, 86 emails, we would close a sale, £2,200 a month, lifetime value. That's the one. I mean, we only ran it for like a month. I think we're sending 30 emails a day, maybe close 5-6 off the back of them. We've only kept 3, so like 50% of those clients a year on. I think the 3 that we probably lost them in the first 4 months because they weren't. We were just some guy that like emailed them out the blue. Facebook's a lot longer, but SEO for us, like as the SEO agency, if you're ranking number 1 for like SEO, Glasgow, Edinburgh, Aberdeen, Manchester's a big one for us. You've already got that trust factor there. But outbound still interests me. There's a lot of money that we could make there. But when an agencies are easy. I'm going on a wee bit, I know, sorry, John. But agencies are always interesting businesses. I found it very, very, very easy to get the agency up to like 7 figures. But see, scaling an agency, if you've got a kind of return on effort, if you like, it starts to diminish at a certain stage. So we're kind of like, we could scale it, but it puts a lot of pressure on the staff. Like if this time last year, October last year, we grew by over 50% in 1 month. And it was just an absolute riot. And that's when I kind of stepped away from like hyper growth, hyper sort of scalability to more manageable scale. Like you've got one sales guy, me, maybe closing 8, 9, 10 deals a month. The team can manage that. So I don't really know. We'll probably go back into the growth, but we need to go slow up to a certain stage where we've got like the management team, the middle management team, the sort of executive, the guys doing the work level, and then it's a lot more easier to scale. But yeah, I'm going off in a big kind of rabbit hole there.
No, it's important. It's important though. It's like building foundations that are actually solid, because I mean we see so many entrepreneurs come through. An initial goal will be 5 figures a month. Then they'll get there and they'll realise that that's not really a lot of money. They can't really do very much with it, especially if they're starting to maybe outsource some stuff, or they're taking on quite a heavy workload, or maybe they've got lower retainers and are starting off early, so they've got a lot of a volume of clients being dealt with one person. And it's one of those, mate, where there's definitely a trade-off at some point where people get so, like, young entrepreneurs we've had come through get so focused on revenue, as many clients as possible, sign as many, that clients then suffer, reputation then suffers, impact suffers, and then that reputation, bro, is so fucking hard to get back once you actually fuck it, which is huge.
Yeah, I'm lucky I did all the burning of reputation when I was working for someone else. I went into starting my own business and I knew exactly what not to do, like more sort of technical in the SEO front, like how to blow up websites and stuff.
I think it's a mental component, man, because I think we've seen clients maybe get to like 10 to 15 as a marketing agency, and then they start to find an acquisition channel that can work, that can be scaled, and it's just like boom, 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 as many clients as possible, then everything shits the bed, and then that's when they phone Andy and they're like, we need a system that manages all these clients, I'm doing everything in my notes, it's a fucking shambles, and then it's like, fuck. And at that point it's reactive rather than actually proactive.
Is that the sort of mark that you see a lot of people? I'm just thinking that's probably when I built my marketing systems, like 10, 15.
Yeah, but it usually comes out of like pain of not having them, as opposed to like proactively needing them. Although I think we're shifting that though. I think we spoke enough about it that people. So it's like we speak about it all the time. It's like we've got an email list that's going to be launching. It should be launched by the time this episode goes out, but it's going to be called the Young Entrepreneur Secrets, and it's going to just give a behind the scenes of like client stories, like real sauce that they can go away and implement. That we think is going to be really valuable, but we're splitting into like two different facets. So like I'm going to be the visionary email handling sales and marketing, Andy's going to be the integrator handling delivery and systems. Now, first thing Andy said to me was like, your open rate's going to be a joke compared to mine because nobody finds my shit sexy. And I'm like, I hear that.
Don't send his emails to me.
You'll be fucking there every week, bro. You'll be there every week. But I said to him, I was like, look, mate, like I actually see it is our job long term to really help shift people's fucking perspective on that shit. To almost see it as like a mini mission within the big mission, because like, bro, if you have a shit delivery process that clients just churn fucking within a few months, like your business is eventually going to fucking die anyway. So it's our job. We actually done it at a live event at one point where we actually took up it was like we googled YouTubed top basically how to generate as many leads as possible for your marketing agency. And it was like Iman Gadzhi's fucking like 5 of the top 10 videos, right? And it was millions. It was like tens of millions of views. And then the flip side question was how to retain clients as a marketing agency. And it totaled, I think it was 116k views over 10 videos.
Yeah.
In comparison. And it was literally like 100x almost. It was like marketing compared to retention. And it was such an interesting component because I've seen that as such a huge gap.
We've always enjoyed in the agency insane retention rates. Like we went 18 months without losing a client. Like, wow. It's nuts. But like it was unhealthy. Like I would describe it as being like unhealthily paranoid about losing clients. That was my mindset. Yeah. Now we're kind of like, we're almost phasing some guys out at the moment, so it's working quite well. But we were very big on the retention before the sort of sales. I was kind of always like paranoid about my reputation and stuff. Like get clients results at all cost. And the big thing for us, like in SEO, it's always quite a weird business model. Like 4 to 6 months, the client's paying you like 90%, and I'll say this fucking open and honestly, 90% of the time they're getting fuck all ROI. Yeah. They've just not had enough time for Google to soak up everything that we are doing and reward them for that. So seeing those 1 to 6 months, like we have to, I'm saying have to, like we enjoy doing it, but we have to be in calls with that client every week. We have to be sending them like weekly updates. We show them every single thing. Like any time someone's logged into their website and done something, it's documented and they see that. And it gets the conversation away from, right, I'm paying you $3,000 a month. Like I've only got 4 or 5 grand back out of that. Yeah. To right, I'm paying $3,500 a month, and fuck, look at all the work these guys are doing for me.
Yeah.
And that gets you to the stage where 6 months, oh fuck, like we've done 15, 20 grand. This is starting to pay for itself right the way up to that sort of, we aim for the 10x ROI. That's not return on revenue really when you factor in margins and stuff like that, but that's what we're aiming for in terms of revenue.
How common is that knowledge within SEO that it takes like that long to get it to a stage where the ROI is incredible?
We are a lot of, I need to say this without sounding arrogant, a lot of SEO agencies don't get results for their clients. And it's not that we are better than them. It's just we don't touch anything low budget. Like we're £50 an hour. It's what we work out at. A lot of agencies are £100 an hour. A lot of my cost saving comes to where I source the team members from. Biggest cost in SEO is link building. I've got a link building agency. So we are like pound for pound cheaper than most agencies, but they'll be like £100 an hour. Okay, we'll take your £300 a month budget. You've got 3 hours with that agency. Like an hour of that goes to just fucking client emails and opening your fucking laptop up in the morning. Can someone do anything for you for 2 hours a month when you've got agencies like mine that are going in there on like 100, 150, 200 hour retainers? Like, no.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, how many hours are your team spending like a month with a client that maybe say they've got a $3,000 a month or something they're paying as a retainer? Is that just 3,000 divided by 50? Is it that simple?
Yeah, we'd probably do a wee bit more. But yeah, 3,000 divided by 50, 60 hours a month. But it's probably a weakness of the business, but there's no other real way around it. We know that like a piece of content takes 5 hours for like the research and someone actually writing it, the editing, the uploading. It actually takes us probably about 8-9 hours, but you then get into the realm, can you actually charge someone more than £250 an article? Like, no. Not with ChatGPT being a thing. That's where we're spending a wee bit more time. We don't bill for technical SEO.
So what is technical SEO to somebody that has no scoop with us?
Making sure Google can actually access your website. Now, it's things like broken pages on your site, slow loading times, content not loading properly, then more sort of nasty bugs. We get this a lot where we'll be taking a website away from a company and they'll go into the server and put like, I don't know if there's anyone technical, there's an error code that tells the browser that you're like, the error code literally is your website's a teapot. We've had stuff like that and it's like cloaked, so only Google see it. You think everything's hunky-dory. So that's kind of technical SEO. Now, the SEO industry, a lot of people have made a lot of money by sort of framing it as this like dark art that you're not supposed to know what happens there. Now, the way I view retention, show the client fucking everything. We've got the value in those first 6 months is like how many sort of hours of someone's bum on a seat have you paid for? It's almost commoditizing yourself, but with good reason. A lot of agencies will sort of pull the wool over clients' eyes and say, oh yes, you need 50 hours of technical SEO every single month. Like, we all fucking know that it's going to take you 50 hours in month 1, and then when you get to month 2, it's like 2-3 hours. That client's still been fucking billed 50 hours a month. And these are the proposals we're up against, like 50 hours a month, £2,500. Your technical SEO, like, we don't bill you for that. Instantly, 90% of competitors that we're up against, we're doing all their shit for free. Right? You want content, you want links, that's all we charge you for. You want content and links from them, double your budget with them.
Which I guess is like where it comes in, like when you're doing the audit, once again, there's transparency there because you're saying, okay, it's going to take 2,500 hours for as an example. It's like going into that 6 months, say they decide to work with you and they see that like everything that's actually been worked on and built and implemented, it's like there's genuine truth to that. Whereas like you're saying, oh, we're going to do 50 hours of technical SEO, but after that it's like just 2 hours a month.
Yeah, and it's just I do sometimes have a wee bit of disdain for the way the industry is, because it's like there's no other, it's just robbery.
Yeah.
Like you're just pulling the wool over people's eyes and taking fucking money off them, and they're getting no return. And quite often it's like small family businesses at that budget level that need this to work, and they're paying fucking so and so X amount a month for them to fire up a tool, pull a report that says the site's fine. And like, I had this, I worked in-house and they were paying a company 15 grand to do technical SEO on 6 websites, and I was like, okay, let's see the technical SEO. And it was an audit pulled from a tool called SEMrush, does like crawls the website like Google would, so it spits out a technical audit. And they'd actually forgot to fucking rebrand it like as their own audit, and it just said like SEMrush up the top, and I was like, how much are you paying for this?
Wow.
And I was coming in as the SEO manager, so that was an easy one to kind of expense to remove.
It's mental, mate, because I think I mean, Sabri Subi's got it in his book where he's like, the marketing industry is one of the only industries where someone can pay for something, not get the result, and nothing happens.
Yeah.
And I know obviously it might be shifting, the paradigm shift might be coming, but it's actually bizarre, mate, the amount it's paid for marketing, and it's just kind of like, nah, well,
yeah,
is what it is. And you're kind of, you're almost at like, no wonder like trust is at such a fucking low component when that shit's happening all the fucking time. It's pretty mad. We went on a pretty heavy rabbit hole there, to be fair.
Yeah.
When it comes to, so what I'm curious about, so there's a few notes here. You said earlier on that you started to realise that what you really enjoyed about business was building businesses rather than making money. Was that always the case, or was it money to begin with, and then you started to recognise what you really enjoyed?
I don't know. The business was never really money focused for me. Like, I built that business when I had a full-time, job, dropped down to sort of 4 days a week, and I built that business up to, I left in November 2020, and it was doing 10k a month. Like, who the fuck stays in a full-time job and they've got a side hustle that's doing 10k a month? But in that sort of, that job, that project I'd been working in as my job, I'd built a team. Like, we were we'd taken this project from like being absolutely abysmal to like, it was the strongest lead system in like a multi-million pound company, leader in their field. And I'd built something there, and like leaving that was quite difficult. And it wasn't really to chase the money. It was more to build something that I had complete control over. Now, don't get me wrong, I like having money, but it's kind of almost a secondary to actually building something. I very much like sort of setting out the plan, building the systems, putting the people in place, and then seeing it all come together, and then like the money's the byproduct. Yeah.
I guess like majority of people like starting out young entrepreneurs in their like early 20s, maybe like 20, 21, and it's like they're so cash hungry, they then start to potentially make some cash. And we had a masterclass that Lawrence came and took, who's someone I know I'm going to be introducing you to. And Lawrence, like,
I was listening to his podcast this morning.
Nice. Good stuff. Well, with Lawrence, it's like he done a masterclass for a lot of the guys, and it was the visionary masterclass, helping you understand how to create a vision for your business that's beyond just the day-to-day or just the just money, essentially.
Yeah.
And the biggest, like, that was the most people we ever stayed back for the Q&A at the end. And so many people had so many questions about, like, well, I've got to this stage and I don't really know what to do, and I'm not necessarily feeling super motivated to get up and get after it. And I guess when I asked that question, it was a bit of a loaded question, because I was curious if it was motivated by money to begin with, you then started to realise that this is actually what you love. It was either going to be, one, how did you do that? Or two, if it wasn't the case, I'm going to stop talking just now because you've got an answer or some sort of value.
I know what you're asking. I thought it was about the money.
Yeah.
And like, don't get me wrong, it's kind of, when you're seeing your monthly sort of recurring revenue just going up and up and up and up, you're like, fuck, put the seatbelt on.
Yeah.
This is taking off. And that's an absolute buzz when your business is going through that. But the thing that made me realise that was, like, I mentioned earlier that I got to like the 7-figure mark, or the sort of plus 80, 90 a month. And I just couldn't be arsed selling anymore. And I was like, why? And I spent a lot of time thinking about that. Like, why am I not fucking, why am I like that? Like, I run a fucking business. Come on, like, you don't get to be like, I can't be arsed selling to that clown. But that's when I did a lot of thinking and was like, you've got the cash, and that's fine, but you're not really feeling accomplished. Like, if you go back to like 2020, closing a $2,500 a month deal, I'd be like, fucking yes, here we go. But now it's kind of like, or then when I was going through that sort of period where I couldn't really motivate myself to sell, I was like, who cares? Like, it doesn't really change anything. And I think earlier on in the journey, like building something, like building monthly recurring revenue, that was just part of building the business. And that's where I got the buzz out of sales. Whereas where I was maybe sort of like this time last year, the money side didn't really represent building anything for me. Now it does, because it kind of, we know exactly what that's getting reinvested into. It helps build the management team's salaries up, etc., etc. So it now represents like the actual physical building of a business, rather than just a fuck $2,500, right? There's X amount into my back pocket type thing.
Yeah, I hear that, and I guess that's where, like, I know you spoke as well about the, like, you're buying property, for example, now, and it's like that extra cash that's like coming through, I'd imagine has some sort of like segue into you being able to buy more property, etc. too.
Yeah, I went into the property. It's an interesting one. I went into the property and I was like, oh fuck, like, I've got all this cash sitting there. Like, good problem to have. Got all this cash sitting there. What the fuck do we do with it? I went out and bought like a big fancy car. Fucking hated it. So like, right, we'll do property. We'll just go out. We'll buy 20 property, and then that's like me and my wife's lifestyles covered. Fine. It's probably a good thing to do. Property's a thing. I didn't think I'd enjoy property at all. But out of all the stuff I'm doing just now, I probably get the biggest buzz out of property. And I used to speak to people who are in property, and like they just had this fucking passion about it. And I'm like, the guy's a fucking oddball. Like, come on, it's like a 2-bedroom flat in East Kilbride. Why are you getting so buzzing about this? But I totally get it now.
What's the secret to like loving it? Like, what's the now that you get it now? What's the difference? Like, what's filled the knowledge gap?
Renovations are a lot easier than I thought they were going to be. Like, I just had pictures of, right, you buy this fucking property and that's you, you're in fucking painting, and I'm like, you couldn't get me to change a light bulb. Like, I'm not kind of hands-on with anything like that. But we were able to we found really, really good partners that were able to come in and do a lot of the work there. And it's, I don't know, it's just like, the agency is good. I've done that. Not done it. I'm still learning a lot through the agency, but the property, it's something completely new. Like, the agency, I maybe get 1% better at it every single month. 4 years ago, I got maybe like 80% better at it every single month, and I don't know what the figure would be. But property, I see myself growing a lot quicker than the agency. Like, the more into something you get, the slower you grow. I feel anyway. But with property, I'm still at that very sort of early stage. Like, we've got 8 units just now. We are closing in on our first kind of real big deal that I'm really, really excited about. And yeah, it surprises me though. I didn't think I'd like the property. I was just like, oh, fuck, it's a place to dump money into. It'll be fine. But I enjoy that stuff. I love it.
Which is class, man. That's unreal. And it's funny because we spent like an hour and 10 speaking about everything else in 2 minutes on the thing that you love most about. Obviously a couple of things we've not spoke about, which obviously we've got like in our 10 15 minutes there about. A1 SEO is obviously the main business. You spoke about the travel business as well a bit earlier on. You're obviously diving into property. You've also got an e-com business, and also you're also acquiring other SEO agencies. When it comes to having multiple different businesses running, what advice would you give young entrepreneurs that maybe they have the same type of buzz where they've got 30 plus different ideas in their notes and they're running one business just now and they probably want to go into other different things? What would be your advice to them on how to actually do that without just getting the woman in the red dress type shit?
If you don't have a business sitting there that's a cash cow, don't do anything else until it's a cash cow. You need to have that management team in place so that you can free up your time. And then when you are starting these new businesses from day one, just treat them as assets, not businesses. You go in, you put the system in place, you work out the model, you get it cash flow and you get it profitable, and it's just rinse, repeat. 90% of them won't work, but it's worth it for the 10% that do. The more of them that you do successfully, the higher that success rate will become.
How have you detached yourself from just the whole 90% of businesses are just going to fail? Because I know a lot of people that will be like,
oh, it's the cliche answer, but it's like, you don't learn anything when you're winning. You fucking learn stuff when you're down in the dumps and you've just fucking burnt 50 grand on a domain and content and you realise you can't ship the product in the UK. And it's the other thing, if you're kind of early on into your sort of journey with business, one big risk could fuck you massively. But I don't know, with me, it's kind of, I just see the failures as it's a cost of doing business. It's just something, I don't know, I've lost tens of thousands in sort of failed affiliate sites and stuff like that. But the knowledge that I've gained from those failures, it stacks up over the years, and when you look back, maybe 2020, losing 15 grand in an affiliate site, that was a big deal for me back then. But when I look at it now, I'm I've probably had the knowledge that's given me has probably made me 10, 20, 30 times that. And I don't welcome failure, but it's I'm quite comfortable with it. Because I know it's part of the journey.
One of the things I'm taking from what you're saying is because you're in the business of acquiring domains and seeing those domains as an opportunity to generate traffic, it almost disconnects from because majority of people build businesses, right, that are really fucking obsessed with in that specific industry. They want to have such a huge impact, and obviously you want to have an impact as well, but it's everything starts with this real fucking mad fueled passion of wanting it to work so bad so that they can have the impact that they want to have. Whereas it's almost you're choosing the domains based on the ability to generate traffic with the understanding that that's then going to generate cash.
And
then from there it's the excitement of cool, I just need to build a business that supports that cash that comes through.
And I know very quickly when it's not going to work out, and that's another thing. I've become very good at just see if a deal's not going to work, just in, out, cool, fine, learn your lessons. Whereas I had a few maybe 3 years ago where I would stay in it long after it became apparent that it was a fucking dead dog. But it's just about becoming a wee bit less emotionally attached to your businesses, which very, 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 very difficult thing to do.
For sure. Because I think I started to experience, as we started to scale ad spend, one of the things I was going to touch on, you said that like marketing channels resulting in a different level of LTV.
Yeah.
We definitely noticed that with when we started to scale even just like our ad budget,
Yeah.
just a little bit. We started to generate more clients. That was where we have a pretty simple guarantee in the front end, which if you come in and within the first 30 days at any point you want to leave, you get your money back in full, and then we just part ways from there. And up until the point of running paid ads at like a not bad budget at the time, when we started to multiply the budget, there was like a period where over the course of a month we had 2 that triggered it. Prior to that, of 3 years, we'd never had anyone trigger it.
Yeah.
And it was like both of them came through paid ads, both of them had never known us before, had no understanding what we could provide. Our funnel wasn't as strong, it didn't communicate really the value we could provide. We then started to look at our offering because it was just a network at the time, and then that's when we started to think, well, how do we provide more value? And it was a huge realization for us, because even like last month, we signed six clients that were fucking killer, and when we actually looked at all of them, there was only one of those 6 that came directly through ads, through our funnel, booked a call with Jack, and then was closed. The other 5 were found us through ads, but then followed my personal brand for ages, or found my personal brand, they got retargeted with ads, and there's this like multi-level marketing almost. I don't know if multi-level is the right phrasing, but you're getting the gist.
Well, the thing I know is SEO is my biggest source of like sales. We do more volume in Facebook, but we close more from SEO.
Yeah.
Here's a head fuck. See if I pause my Facebook ads.
Yeah.
My SEO leads like drop by 50%.
Wow. Fuck me.
Figure might be like give or take 10-20%, but it's notable.
Honestly, mate, like it's bizarre, because even if we look at like, say, applications from an aspect of running just like normal ads, if we don't even say we take the outbound strategy out, that's free value, and then we also take out maybe like my content is maybe less consistent on LinkedIn or something like that, we notice an instant impact on just overall applications, just like full stop. When all of them are firing, it's fucking you're like it's flying from an aspect. You can see the consistent level of growth. But it's so interesting to me, because at the strategy day last week, it was like 6 deals. Where did they come from? And like, because I made it a habit as well, when Jack was signing them, he was understanding where they came from initially, and then when Andy was taking us through the roadmap, he was kind of digging a bit deeper into where they actually found us in the first place, like how long they'd not like found us, etc., how long they'd been following us. And out of those 6, there was literally 5 that had found us through paid ads months ago, or found us through personal brand months ago, but then had been nurtured over like a 2 to 3 month window, through retargeting paid ads, through fucking different pieces of content, through a free piece of value like that training, for example, and all of them then just like merged into them converting, as opposed to just one facet in one channel, which is interesting. But yeah, we've probably been going for like an hour and 20, mate, which is just fucking flew in massively. Always does, bro, which is fucking mental. But is there any final pieces that maybe you came on the pod and you wanted to shoot the shit on today? Or
no, I was just coming on for a wee chat, mate.
A wee chat. Well, in terms of where people can find you, mate, where can they find you?
LinkedIn, Graham Grieve, and then I am not really active on anything else. I've got like Instagram, Facebook, but it's just me posting photos of my dog.
Are you planning on doing more content?
Yes and no. I'm like, I used to have a really good personal brand on LinkedIn. And then it was like, you're getting all these leads through, you're getting too many leads through Facebook and SEO, like, so I kind of dropped the ball, but I'm looking at getting a wee bit more video content stuff. And one of the businesses, I've got like a full-time editor, videographer, so I'm like, should probably utilise that a wee bit more, but I don't know, things are good just now. Got a baby coming in December, so maybe not a good time to be adding more things to do. A holiday in February for the sounds of things. But yeah, honestly, brother, that was awesome, mate. Thank you so much for coming on, mate. Really appreciate it. Cheers for having me.
Yeah, was absolutely immense, bro. Well, troops, if you're on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. We've got episodes going up fortnightly. We're potentially going to be increasing the volume of those to weekly, so stay tuned for that. And in regards to Spotify, obviously leave a review, let us know what your favourite part was, and stay tuned for more episodes, troops. Have an incredible day.